Hi, I'm Hannah from Soul, Mind, Body Self-Care, and today I wanted to share with you my self-care journey. We all begin our self-care journey somewhere, but it's like a lot of things in life, you may not realize that you have begun until years down the road, and you look back and you go, that's when it began, and that is definitely my story. Now I can look back and see very clearly each pivotal moment or paradigm shift, as I'll call it from here on out, that led me to where I am today. And because it is a journey, it's not over, and there is no finish line, at least not in this life, in this world. But that's the beauty of it. It's the process, it's learning and growing step by step, day by day. So I wanted to start by defining the term self-care as it pertains to everything that I share through Soul, Mind, Body Self-Care. Self-care is caring for our souls, minds, and bodies in consistent, tangible, life-changing ways. So that's our working definition. It is my mission to redefine self-care for a new generation of mamas. I know it can seem very nebulous and out there, and how do we implement this? What does this mean? Does it just mean pedicures and massages? Does it mean ignoring my family? Does it mean spending millions of dollars? Does it mean I have to have huge chunks of time to be completely alone? No. I want self-care to be accessible and applicable to every mama everywhere. But paradigm shift number one for me, or the beginning of my self-care journey, was about 15 months or so after I had my first baby, my firstborn son. And up until then, my late teens, or all through my 20s, I had been just pushing, working, going, as I know a lot of you probably have been or were. I'm treating my body like it was a machine, and that meant I never really stopped. I worked hard to earn my bachelor's. I worked 2 jobs, a day job and an evening job. Put myself through an intensive master's program, and then I met my husband, and we got married, and I got pregnant. Like 6 months later, stepped right into motherhood, and my first birth experience was long and hard and very traumatic. And I had no clue what self-care was. I had no clue what I needed. I tried to bounce back and get back to normal after my son was born very, very quickly. I had very little postpartum season that was restful or healing because I rushed myself. I thought, I have to look like I have it all together. I have to look like I have my body back, and I was not well physically, mentally, emotionally. And I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't know. I just thought, well, it's hard, but literally people have been doing this since the beginning of time, so I can do this, right? Like, if everyone else can do it, I can do it, and I'm just gonna power through it. I remember not too long after my son was born, putting him in my Moby wrap and going to Target for a Target run, and I was not ready physically or in any way. And I just thought that's what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to go out in society and look normal and act normal. And gosh, I could write a whole book on how as a society we have lost the beauty of the postpartum season. It's not prioritized. It's not presented as normal to take the time that you need to heal on every level. But I guess that's another story for another day. I was about 15 months postpartum with my first when I realized that I literally felt like I was falling apart, and I had to figure out why. So I found a naturopath, which was my first experience with functional medicine, and basically discovered that my adrenals needed support. And I didn't know at the time that that was just the tip of the iceberg, but I had to start somewhere, so that's where I started. This is when I first began to realize that caring for others, caring for my baby, was only part of the motherhood equation. The other part was learning how to care for myself. During that season, I was still breastfeeding my son. I had suffered an early miscarriage. My husband was gone for 6 months training for a new job that was going to move us across the country, away from family, which we were really excited to, head out on this new adventure, but I didn't realize at the time how much stress, even if it's good stress, it's still stress, and our body translates it the same way. It doesn't stop and go, oh wait, that's good stress, we're gonna be okay with it. You're still carrying that, you're still processing it or not, internalizing, which is what I tended to do, was just internalize the stress, just stuff it down, just push through. Like I said, I treated my soul, mind, and body like a machine, and just do what I tell you to do because we just gotta get through this. So we moved across country, we found a house. It was a fixer-upper. So we spent a lot of our free time fixing up that old house. And meanwhile, my husband's commuting, working like 12-hour days at his new job, and I was managing the renovations on our house. I was pregnant with our second and wrangling the toddler, and it was just, again, a lot of stress, and I did not know how to process it. I internalized it all. So when it came time to give birth to my daughter, I had a lot of residual trauma left over from my first birth experience that I had never addressed. I didn't know how to address it. The only person I had really talked to about it, besides close family, was my first naturopath during my intake session. So my daughter's birth was very emotionally charged for me. It was beautiful. It was fairly quick, active labor. I had her at a birth center. My first was a hospital, my second was birth center, and it was a beautiful birth experience overall, but was very emotionally charged for me. I had a lot of fears, and so I again carried that into my postpartum, and it was a good postpartum season, but it was way too short. I still had not learned exactly what I needed, how to ask for what I needed, how to set boundaries so that I could get what I needed, and it was way too short, and I rushed into life and lots of stressors from several different directions, and it was just a lot, adding to that that my daughter was not a good sleeper at all, and I also did not know how to what to do with that. When you're in the middle of it all and you're exhausted, it's hard to think of solutions. So when my daughter was a little over a year old, I found myself visiting my parents with my kids. It was the first time I was able to just sit back and relax and have someone else help me care for my children so that I could see them with fresh eyes, see myself, realize again that I needed help. So I sought out another functional medicine doctor in my area and kind of went in like I did the first time with a shotgun approach. Didn't really know the questions to ask, didn't know how to prioritize, and I just felt like I was falling apart. So we did run some tests and we tried several different things, and I was eventually diagnosed with Candida, which we treated. I embarked on my first Whole30. I've only ever done one, although I talk about this in a little while. I have done another elimination style diet, but I did a Whole30, and it did teach me so much about eating whole foods, how to make so much from scratch, how to read labels. Oh my goodness, what is just in a bottle of standard ketchup, that kind of thing. It really opened my eyes, and it helped me realize that I do not do well on conventional dairy. I never knew that. I always had skin problems that I could never resolve. I tried all of the things. I went to a dermatologist that was very well known, and he wanted to prescribe me a topical cream, and I just knew that's not what it is. And lo and behold, it was predominantly my skin issues were caused by conventional dairy. So just getting to the bottom of some of my physical issues gave me the mental capacity to address my emotional, spiritual, and mental health. So sometimes that's the order that you have to go in. I think a lot of times that may be the case. When I started feeling a little bit better physically, I had the energy to address these other areas in my life. I went to counseling and started learning how to set boundaries, how to say no. I started realizing that I had a martyr mentality, expecting everyone around me to read my mind and just magically meet my needs. And I started taking personal responsibility for caring for myself. I started practicing yoga, which is just a beautiful marriage of movement and breath, and it, addressed my physical body, but also my mind and my spirit, and I love that about yoga. I've been practicing for about 5 years now. Around the same time that I started practicing yoga, I also started on a journey of decluttering our home. I was so tired. I'm naturally an organizer. I love to organize, but I didn't realize that organizing isn't always the solution. If you have too much stuff or stuff that you don't love and use, you can organize it all day long and you're still going to end up in the same place that you were before. So I started on this journey within a journey of learning how to declutter our home, my schedule, my mind, my life really, and it's been a slow learning process, like peeling away the layers of an onion. It does not happen overnight, and I steadily got bolder and bolder, and now I'm at a place of maintenance where our home is so easy to take care of, and we have about 2,000 square feet. So it's not like we live in a tiny home with 5 belongings. Like, we have a normal life, and I don't put like a magic number or anything, but we keep what we love and what we use. So all of those things combined, it's never just one thing. There's not one magic answer. It's holistic in every sense of the term, and that is what self-care is. It's soul, mind, and body. You can't just address one area of your life. It has to be all of the areas, and walked out those things for a few years, and we got pregnant. I got pregnant with our 3rd baby, and I was in such a better place mentally and emotionally. Even physically, I still had a lot of work to do, things that I was yet to discover about my physical condition and even mentally and emotionally, but I was taking steps one day at a time. And when I got pregnant with our 3rd, we were in the process of trying to sell our home in Seattle, and it ended up being a very long, drawn-out process. In the middle of all that, we had to move to our new town where my husband's job was taking us. So we were renting, paying rent, paying the mortgage in our house in Seattle, trying to get it sold. It was a lot of stress, and then adding to that, we moved to a new area, and whenever we moved to a new area, we all seemed to get sick in quick succession, and were sick for at least a month. Leading up to my son's birth, I was sick for a solid 2 weeks, like sitting up in bed, trying to sleep, coughing. At 9 months pregnant, we were all exhausted, but the whole season, I had just held this hope that was growing in my heart, like this promise that this was going to be a beautiful spring. in so many ways, not just the actual season, which it was, but that springtime was coming. And with it, our son, he was born at home. It was a water birth. It was super quick, super intense, and beautiful. And our postpartum season, thanks to all the many lessons I had learned from my first two, was absolutely wonderful. I spent the first 2 weeks in bed with my baby, thanks to my mom and my husband. And I gave myself 12 full weeks to recover before trying to start any sort of exercise, trying to push myself at all. I just laid low. We ended up selling our house in Seattle, finding a new home in our new town, and it was just overall such a season of blessing. Add to that our baby was our best sleeper yet. So as all of you mamas know, sleep changes everything. It was right around this time that I started intentionally sharing my self-care journey on specifically Instagram. I have been on Instagram for a while, but as everything really started aligning and coming together for me, and my mission and my passion for redefining self-care and helping other mamas, as many mamas as possible, care for themselves, I started being very intentional in sharing my journey. And then I started my blog, Soul, Mind, Body, Self-Care, because I wanted more space than just an Instagram caption to share everything that I had learned and was learning, just really open up this conversation that I could start to have with other mamas who maybe were like me, that didn't know what self-care was or how to intentionally apply it to their everyday life. And I love that first year because I had that foundation of self-care, and it was a total game changer. It completely changed everything. At about 1 year postpartum is when I sought out a local functional medicine doctor, and this time, no shotgun approach. I knew exactly what to ask. I knew what tests I wanted done. I knew what I wanted to prioritize. So I went in there with knowledge, which is power, and I got all the testing done that I wanted to get done. I discovered that confirmed that I was borderline Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and that I had several food sensitivities, which was connected to leaky gut and a couple of gut infections. So all of that connected, but I started on some protocols to address all of those things. I did a 2-month strict elimination diet to cut out a lot of foods that I was highly sensitive to let my gut recover. And then around 16 months postpartum, I had to unfortunately wean my baby. I know that's not really early, and it was a beautiful season while it lasted. But I just loved nursing him, and I wish I could have nursed him as long as he wanted, but I knew that I needed to do these protocols. I didn't feel comfortable doing them while I was nursing him, and I knew my body needed a break. We were going to try for more babies eventually, and I wanted to give my body that break because I'd never really had that. Like, I literally weaned my daughter and got pregnant the next week. So I had never had a break, and I really, really wanted to have that to address my health. And into the present, I spent a lot of last fall really diving deep, layering on self-care that I had never done before, visiting the sauna, getting massage. I did castor oil packs. I focused in on moon cycling. I did so many things to balance out my hormones, boost my immune system, help my gut. Like, I was just on top of it. I did, unfortunately, along with my family and some of my extended family, got the horrible flu that was going around this winter. I got that in January, and it knocked me down. Like, I don't even know what it would have done if I hadn't been taking such good care of myself, because it was a couple weeks before I even started really feeling like myself, in about a month, until I got rid of all the lung congestion and And then even that, after that, about a month after that, I had a ton of hair loss due to the stress from the sickness. And then a few weeks later, we found out we were pregnant with our fourth, which is it was super, super exciting, but it was like literally the week of the full moon, daylight savings, and when everything with COVID-19 hit the fan. So I was coming off of being so sick and now moved into my current pregnancy. So I'm about 11 weeks now, and everything is going really well so far. I am feeling better. Gotten through the worst of the morning sickness, and just really trying again. Like I feel like all of the lessons that I've learned on my self-care journey are coming full circle. Kind of like I'm back at ground zero again. Like remembering, reminding myself, what do I need to do? So the 4 big lessons that I've learned so far in my self-care journey. The first one is sometimes, like I said, you're gonna have to address the physical first. I want to sound all intellectual and say, your mental health or your spiritual health, but no, I think sometimes you need to address your physical health first to give you the capacity to address the other areas. Big lesson number 2 is you have to learn how to set boundaries. You have to learn how to say no. You have to learn how to prioritize yourself and your immediate family above anyone and anything else. You have to, in order to successfully practice holistic self-care. Big lesson number 3 is you have to stop playing the martyr. You have to stop expecting the people around you to magically read your mind and magically meet your needs. They can't. They're human. You have to take personal responsibility for caring for yourself, determine what you need, meet those needs, or communicate them clearly to those who can. Big lesson number 4 is one step at a time, one day at a time. There is no medal for the person who crosses the finish line first, because there is no finish line in this life. This is a journey. A little goes a long way. So I want to end this video by saying that we have one beautiful life to live. So let's, mamas, leverage the tool of soul, mind, body self-care to live that one beautiful life as fully as we possibly can. I have a guide that I created just for you, mama. It's my soul, mind, body self-care guide. 30 ways that you can start caring for yourself today when you don't know where to start. It's totally free, and the link will be down below. So I hope you grab it. I hope it's helpful. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, if you'd like to see more like it, please subscribe to my channel, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. All of it matters. I just appreciate you being here. Let's take care of ourselves.